German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock does not rule out sending German soldiers to Ukraine to monitor compliance with the ceasefire. As Welt writes, Baerbock said that the possibility of an international military presence to ensure a ceasefire is seen as a complement to other security guarantees, such as NATO membership. Asked about Germany's possible role in the matter, she said Germany would of course do everything in its power to support anything that will serve the peace of the future. The German foreign minister added that Berlin will strive to support all efforts aimed at achieving peace. Recall, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced new military aid for Ukraine during a rare visit that he said sent a message to Russian President Vladimir Putin that Berlin would stand by Kiev for as long as needed in the war. The visit, his first to Kiev since the early months of Russia's 2022 invasion, comes ahead of Donald Trump's return to the White House and weeks after Scholz's governing coalition in Berlin collapsed, threatening his future as chancellor. The political upheaval in Germany, Europe's biggest economy, adds to a growing sense of uncertainty in Ukraine, with Russian troops advancing ever faster in the east. It is unclear how much Kiev's European partners can step up support for Ukraine if Trump cuts help from the United States, its most powerful ally. My message from Kiev to Putin: we're in this for the long haul. Our support for Ukraine will not waver. We will stand by the Ukrainian people for as long as it takes, Scholz wrote on X. As Bild reporter Peter Thied notes, this is the first time that a member of the German government has spoken out about part of a possible peace plan since Donald Trump's inauguration. Le Monde recently reported that secret discussions about sending troops to Ukraine have resumed in Europe. At the same time, The Times reported that NATO would not want to send troops to Ukraine because if Western troops were killed by the Russian army, countries like Britain could quickly be drawn into the war. And former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is calling for British peacekeeping troops to be deployed to guard Ukraine's border in the event of a future ceasefire with Russia. Earlier, French President Emmanuel Macron said on February the 26th that around 20 Western countries taking part in a Paris meeting on further assistance for Kiev had discussed the possibility of sending troops to Ukraine. According to Macron, no consensus was reached on the issue then, but such a possibility cannot be ruled out in the future. Russian presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated that the deployment of foreign troops to Ukraine would lead to severe, if not irreversible, consequences.
The Pentagon is watching fast-moving developments in South Korea and Syria, saying there is no change to U.S. force posture on the Korean peninsula, despite intense turmoil between South Korea's president and lawmakers in parliament. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's government lifted the martial law he imposed during a tense night of political drama in which troops surrounded parliament and lawmakers voted to reject military rule. Yoon said early Wednesday that his government withdrew military personnel following a bipartisan parliamentary vote rejecting martial law, and the measure was formally lifted during a cabinet meeting around 4:30 a.m. The United States is in close contact with the ROK government to learn more, and is closely monitoring developments, said Pentagon spokesperson Major General Pat Ryder. Ryder also told reporters that U.S. forces conducted a self-defense strike Tuesday in the vicinity of Mission Support Site Euphrates, a U.S. base in eastern Syria, against 3 truck-mounted multiple rocket launchers, AT-64 tank and mortars. Ryder said the U.S. military responded to a clear and imminent threat to U.S. troops. Ryder said the attack was not connected to the offensive that is ongoing in Aleppo, where Syrian jihadi-led rebels have advanced and taken over the country's capital city. The U.S. has about 900 troops in Syria to conduct missions to counter the Islamic State group. In another matter, Ryder provided details on the latest U.S. military aid package to Ukraine, valued at $725 million. This latest package will provide Ukraine significant additional capabilities to meet its most urgent needs, including air defense capabilities, munitions for rocket systems and artillery and anti-tank weapons, Ryder said. The United States will continue to work with our allies and partners to ensure that Ukraine has the security assistance it needs to defend itself from Russian aggression.
All right, we'll get Good afternoon. Secretary Austin and the Department of Defense continue to monitor the developing situation in the Republic of South Korea. The United States is in close contact with the ROK government to learn more and is closely monitoring developments. As we have any updates to provide, we'll be sure to pass them along as appropriate. Everyone, I have a few things to pass along, and then we'll get right to your questions. First,
any changes to U.S. force posture with the number of troops we have in?
There have been no changes, to my knowledge.
And have you seen any indications North Korea is poised or trying or willing to take advantage of the situation?
Of course, we're closely monitoring the situation, but I'm not aware of any force posture changes. Warren.
Such an honor. Just a few South Korea questions. Has General Kamara been in touch with his South Korean counterparts, or has there been other?
This morning, U.S. Central Command forces successfully destroyed several weapon systems in the vicinity of military support site Euphrates in Syria that included 3 truck-mounted multiple rocket launchers, a T-64 tank, and mortars that presented a clear and imminent threat to U.S. and coalition forces. The self-defense strike occurred after the multiple rocket launchers fired rockets that landed in the vicinity of MSS Euphrates, and mortars were fired towards U.S. forces. We're still assessing who is operating these weapons, but do know that there are Iranian-backed militia groups in the area that have conducted attacks on MSS Euphrates in the past. There are also Syrian military forces that operate in the area. To be clear, these self-defense actions successfully eliminated imminent threats to U.S. personnel and were not linked to any broader activities in northwest Syria by other groups.
How does martial law impact U.S. troops in South Korea?
Well, as I mentioned, let me underscore that the U.S. mission in Syria remains unchanged as U.S. and coalition forces continue to focus on the enduring defeat of ISIS. However, we remain fully prepared to defend and protect our personnel and assets deployed in the region, to include our forces deployed to Syria.
Yes, Korea and Ukraine. South Korean President.
As you may have seen yesterday, the department announced the 71st PDA package for Ukraine. With an estimated value of $725 million, this latest package will provide Ukraine significant additional capabilities to meet its most urgent needs, including air defense capabilities, munitions for rocket systems and artillery, and anti-tank weapons. The United States will continue to work with our allies and partners to ensure that Ukraine has the security assistance it needs to defend itself from Russian aggression.
President declared martial law to prevent the destruction of liberal democracy.
Russian aggression still poses a threat to Ukrainian sovereignty. The Ukrainians have demonstrated and expressed the will to continue to fight. And as Secretary Austin has said many times, Ukraine matters, not only to European security, but to U.S. and international security. So we will continue to consult with our Ukrainian partners. We'll continue to consult with our allies and partners around the world. And as you know, in terms of what Ukraine needs to defend itself. And so we will continue to support them in their fight.
I have a very short question.